The relics of ancient civilizations are often wrecked, buried, and hard to pinpoint, yet sometimes we come across artifacts that force us to radically reevaluate our place in the course of history. In the past decade, there have been numerous mysterious archaeological finds that have left researchers scratching their heads in confusion. While some of these findings have been eventually explained, others still remain a mystery. Here are 11 of the most enigmatic recent archaeological finds. Number 11. Noah's Ark. Some things are so good you just want to discover them again and again, like Noah's Ark, for example. We all know the story of Noah and the flood that almost wiped out the world as we know it. The biblical boat has been found many times by many people. Or has it? For decades, professional historians from all over the earth have reported having discovered traces of the Ark in and near Mount Ararat in Turkey, where the boat, according to the book of Genesis, came to rest. Yet, no one has been able to find the Ark itself. And, like Atlantis, Noah's Ark is an archaeological mystery that will continue to be solved again and again, and questioned again and again. Number 10. A solar calendar as rock art. Astronomy was one of the essential things in culture as our ancestors studied the night skies on a regular basis. The solar calendar found in Arizona has a spiral shape. It wasn't apparent what the spiral shape was supposed to be. At the V-V historic site, there are many petroglyphs carved into the red rocks. It might be hard to figure out what each one means, but when the sun is in just the right spot, each one tells a different story. The shadows showed that the maker used it as a mechanism to track the equinoxes and solstices for different reasons, which include rituals. But there is a catch. The ancients didn't follow the summer solstice, so why build it then? Number 9. A secret code message. Buried in the mountains of Jackson County just outside of Silva, there is a very, very strange rock with a cipher, which happens to be the most significant archaeological mystery in the U.S. that no one can decipher. No one knows exactly when Jeticulla rock was carved, but it is presumed to have existed before the Cherokee Indians even settled the area. The carvings, paintings, and texts all seem to be some kind of map. Or maybe they're telling a story. The markings on the rock are even more of a mystery when you consider other rocks lying around with zero markings, basically suggesting that it came from a different place. Number 8. The Copper Scroll Treasure. Here's one archaeological mystery that we'd all like to solve. In 1952, a copper scroll dug up at the Qumran site may have penned a massive amount of buried gold and silver, but no one knows where that treasure might be. The copper scroll was found alongside the Dead Sea Scrolls in what is now the West Bank in the Palestinian territories. It goes back over 2,000 years to a period when the Roman Empire ruled over the settlement of Qumran. Historians reckon that the scroll reflects a treasure that was stashed by locals during the area's periodic revolts against the Roman Empire. Only if you could scribble the scroll. Number 7. Pumapunku, a shrouded mystery. Around the world, we can find countless cases of ancient stone cutting so precise that they rival creations of the modern day produced with advanced machinery. But one of the most spectacular examples is Pumapunku in Bolivia, a 17,000-year-old archaeological site with remarkable stonework that seems like it was carved with a diamond tool. Huge blocks that weigh up to 800 tons apiece have precisely straight edges that lock flawlessly into one another. What makes it even more mysterious is that there are no carving traces on the surface of the blocks. Historians and stonemasons alike are baffled as to how the ancients actually achieved such exact cuts without the help of modern technology. Number 6. A stone wheel from the ages. There are many medicine wheel monuments strewn throughout North America, with stones placed in a wheel shape, a building revered by various cultures across the northern Great Plains. In terms of size, though, the Bighorn Medicine Wheel in Wyoming is head and shoulders above the others at 75 feet across. As if that wasn't surprising enough, it also predates the advent of the local Crow people. When experts examined the wheel thoroughly in the 1970s, they observed that some spokes pointed to certain solstices' dawn directions, while others marked the rising points of other stars, hinting the site may have formerly been an observatory. All of that had been subtracted, but not a single one of them looked back far enough in time to determine who had built the wheel in the first place. Number 5. The Porpoise Grave. In the year 2017, archaeological digs got underway on the tiny island of Chapelle-Dom-Hue, located just off the coast of Guernsey. The first thing they wanted to do was find a medieval church, but that idea quickly went out the window when they found something much stranger: the body of a porpoise buried in its own grave. The sea creature had been there for almost 600 years, but the big question is, why bury it? Obviously, some kind of religious rite was initially suspected, but if that is the case, it would be something unique in Christianity. Back then, the island was only inhabited by monks, and the monks used to eat porpoises, so it could simply have been a discarded lunch. But that still begs the question of why they would have bothered to dig a hole when they could have just thrown the remains into the sea, which was only a few feet away. After all, if this is what they did with the bodies, researchers should have discovered many more tombs. Number 4. The Maine Penny. In 1957, when archaeologists were digging up a Native American settlement in Maine, they found something very eye-catching. Buried in the dirt was a small coin of unknown origins. First mistaken as a 12th century British penny, English experts eventually labeled the coin Norse. The coin was most likely minted between 1065 and 1080, and is the only pre-Columbian Norse artifact ever found in the US. So, how does a Norse coin almost 1,000 years old end up on the coast of Maine? Some are convinced that the coin is evidence of contact between early Norse settlements in Newfoundland and mainland Native Americans. If this is the case, the date of first contact between the Old and New Worlds would be rewritten entirely. Number 3. The Starving of Saqqara. Egypt is one of the oldest and most well-known civilizations. It has been studied in complexity for hundreds of years, yet we are still baffled by a myriad of historical details. Consider the Starving of Saqqara, a sculpture that is unlike any other Egyptian statue ever seen by scholars, which is thought to date from Egypt's pre-dynastic period. It shows two people, possibly a man and a woman, sitting next to each other. They are naked and have large, oblong heads. The sculpture is made of limestone and has inscriptions on it, although the language has yet to be deciphered. Most ancient art historians agree they've never seen anything like it and have no idea what the inscriptions mean. Perhaps it's either an original work of ancient art or a complete fake. Only time will tell if we will find out the truth. Number 2. Ulfbert Viking Swords. Ulfbrecht Viking swords are an anomaly fit for fiction more than history. Aside from their sheer strength, these innovative blades were centuries ahead of their time. In fact, historians of today still don't know how a blade of that quality could have been made hundreds of years before the technique to make them was even discovered. Ulfbert's swords were dated to be over 1,000 years old, and the method for making steel of that quality didn't exist until 800 years later. The blacksmith had to attain a temperature of 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit in order to make a blade that was free of impurities. Such methods were not around, but some historians have surmised that the method may have come out of the Middle East, where sword-making methods baffled European invaders during the Crusades. Number 1. Superhenge. And now for the motherlode of mysterious stones. Meet Superhenge, a massive stone structure barely 2 miles from another mysterious Stonehenge in the UK. Discovered in 2015, a large stone monolithic monument consists of a cluster of monoliths. Archaeologists discovered the monoliths under the Durrington Walls Bank, a grass-covered circular embankment. Historians believe that this Superhenge was once part of a much larger Neolithic structure. Archaeologists aren't sure what the stones were used for in the past, but they think that the 15-foot-tall slabs stood upright before they were pushed over 4,500 years ago. As it lies in a natural dip near the Avon River, it's probable that the massive monument originally helped construct a C-shaped arena from which springs and a valley went down to the river below. More than a century ago, a very well-known figure, Albert Einstein, established his famous theory of relativity. If space and time are intertwined, then time travel is conceivable. One day, once physicists figure out how it works, they might perhaps find the answers of many archaeological mysteries.